At the end of every year rolls around the iconic videos of how to level up and be unrecognizable by the end of the year. And I know this video has the exact same title, but here we do things completely different. I give you advice and tips on how to actually change the way that your brain is working to change your life, because absolutely everything in your life stems from your identity, your values, and your beliefs. What these currently are dictate your way of life right now. And in order to be unrecognizable in 2026, you have to learn how to change these three things to change your life. And if you're confused on what I'm saying, stick around for the video because I go in depth on what all of these things are and what is actually happening inside your brain, backed with science and research. Welcome to the channel that helps you become her. Confident, consistent, and in control of her life. I'm your host, Amelia Grace, and here we talk all things mindset, discipline, designing, and embodying your dream life. So let's dive straight into it and talk about what has actually kept you stuck every time you try to do a glow up. I know for me, I've absolutely adored those end of year glow up videos on YouTube, but what actually kept me stuck wasn't the fact that I didn't do the reset well enough or I didn't make a good enough vision board or goals. It was actually what was going on inside my brain that stopped me from actually being consistent with it and it lasting. Like those New Year's resolutions that we all make, and then it gets to like February and we go, oh yeah, that's right, I'm supposed to be doing XYZ. And then by the time December comes, we look back with a little bit of guilt going, I could have done so much better this year. And where this all stems from comes from a thing called neuroplasticity. It's your brain's ability to quite physically and literally change itself. Your brain is based on what you repeatedly think, feel, and act on. And inside your brain, each one of those things sends electrical signals between the neurons that create a thing called neural pathways. And the more times those neurons fire together, the stronger that pathway becomes. So if I believe nothing I do will actually change my life, I'm not going to put in 100% of my effort because I think I'm not going to change my life. So what's the point? What's the point on putting in all the effort to go to the gym, to make sure I do the hard work, to make sure I stay up a little bit extra to finish what I said I would? Whether it be people pleasing, self-doubt, overthinking, procrastination, avoiding discomfort, it is just like a forest pathway. So the more times you walk down it, the easier it gets for you to travel down it. So if you've been walking down the trail of I'm not good enough for 5 years, then that pathway is going to be extremely easy for the neurons to travel down. And because our brains absolutely adore efficiency, it will become the default, which is why when you try and do glow ups, it is so hard because your brain is so used to that efficient pathway that you have created. And so you'll start to see transformation when you start to change those pathways, when you start to believe different things. And I will tell you, as someone who's done this work myself, changing those pathways is uncomfortable, it is challenging, it is repetitive, it is frustrating, but it is incredibly worth it. Because with repetition, the new pathway will start to strengthen and the old one will start to weaken. And this is the way you become unrecognizable in 2026 and make it last. Another factor that makes it harder to glow up is your current programming. Our brains are hardwired to keep us safe. And a way that it does this is it predicts future outcomes, even if you have never done it before. For example, if you want to try something new in a business adventure, then if you have tried something in your childhood or early adult life and you failed, you felt humiliated, a little bit embarrassed, and you didn't feel like you were good enough to get there, then trying again this time round, your brain wants to protect you from that again. And so it will predict this new outcome based on the last one. And if in high school you avoided hard work, your brain learned that delaying that stuff equals relief. If you got attention or praise when you people pleased, then your brain learned that doing that meant that you were safe and that you were liked or loved. All of these experiences create your neural pathways, and over time they strengthened. But the cost of staying the same is that yes, your new year will look different with a new car, a new outfit, maybe a new house, but you will still be the same person with the same identity, beliefs, and values that have kept you stuck not going to the gym every day, not waking up early when you said you would, not following through and seeing your friends, not doing your hobbies, not taking care of yourself, not being more confident. Every single thing that has stopped you from doing everything that makes you happy will still be present next year. And that's the cost of staying the same. And that's why every January feels like a new reset and December feels like defeat, because you're trying to do better. Your brain learned how to build pathways that don't serve you, but it can do the exact opposite and build ones that support you and the new life that you want to embody and sustain. And shortly in this video, we will be going in depth on how to actually do that. And that will be the moment your glow up will never feel like something you're chasing. It will just be your default mode. Now, before we change anything before 2026, I need you to make sure you've got an extremely clear vision. Not a vague, be better, and I want to do XYZ. I need you to be so crystal clear. And here is why. Your brain inside the limbic system has a thing called the reticular activating system, your RAS, which filters through any information to prove you correct. And an example of this showing up in your life is when you think about red cars, you talk about red cars, and then you immediately start seeing them everywhere on the road. It filters everything you notice, you ignore, and what you move towards. But it only knows what to filter if you give it a target. And creating a clear vision board gives you that clear target. So the clearer that is, the stronger your brain directs your motivation, your focus, and your behaviors to achieving that and bringing it into your life. And that part is not manifestation. This is actually the science on how your brain works and how your body works in order to make these things happen. A lot of us get stuck because even with a vision board, if it's not clear enough, we don't have a strong enough target to actually direct and push ourselves to achieve. And I know I've experienced this. I remember in 2024, I made a vision board and it was all pink and pretty with bows and everything. But I achieved like 20% of what was on there. And the one above my bed right now, I've achieved more than 95% of things on that board because of how clear it was. So your first step for 2026 is clear. You need to create a vision board. I want you to put up the habits you want to adopt, the things you want to buy, the experiences you want to have, the achievements you want to be able to see, the relationships, the outcomes, the standards you are putting yourself at. And when your brain starts to see this day in, day out, it will start prioritizing all of these things. And you will feel a little bit of guilt when you are not working towards them. Because I know that you can, and you know that you can. Identity lives in something called your self-schema. Everything in your life, all of your choices, come down to your identity. We are always acting from our beliefs, and this can be good or bad. And if it's the latter, then that explains why you set new goals but fall back or still behave like the same old you. So if your brain wired your identity as someone who overthinks, avoids conflict, then your brain will continue to run on those behaviors even if you don't like them. And to change your identity is hard, but it's actually quite simple. You just have to repeat the new identity you want to embody. And how to do this comes in 3 simple steps. First one is you need to catch yourself when you start saying things you do not want to be believing anymore. And this can be, I can't do it. Who am I to do this? I always fall off. Nothing works. I'm not good enough for this. Because the moment you put a pin on what is happening in your life and where you are, you actually get to start moving because you can see where you're currently sitting and how far you are away from the target. When you have caught the old responses, I need you to pause for a moment, take 10 deep breaths in and out, which will calm the vagus nerve from your spine to your gut, and it will allow your nervous system to relax, and it will create a safe space for your brain to effectively change your identity and affirm to yourself the new identity that you want to be embodying in 2026. And I know that you want to be more confident, more outgoing, more disciplined. You want to see success. You want to be the best version of yourself. You want to see everything that you've been working towards. finally show up. So what would that version of you think about yourself then? The second step is to replace behaviors that match your 2026 identity. And this may be putting your hand up once in class, talking to a new person, trying a new hobby, and repeat it until your brain updates your self-schema. So your identity is the pattern your brain has built to support your life, and it's the one that you consistently choose. And once your identity aligns with your vision, then everything in your life becomes easier because your brain is not fighting you anymore. It's working with you. Contrary to popular belief, your beliefs are not a personality trait. They stem from your identity, and it's the past predictions your brain makes. It's really not that deep. It's your brain saying, this is what happened, so this is what I expect now. And it's not permanent, which is amazing. Your brain set all of those experiences and lessons as rules to guide you and dictate you through your life in order to keep you as safe as possible. And that does not ever mean that these beliefs are true. For example, I know I sometimes believe I am not good enough for my end goal. And that is not a true belief because there is everything under the sun to prove that I am good enough to get where I'm going. It only exists if you keep feeding it. So stop feeding it. And by that, I mean evidence. You need to find clear, hard evidence to prove a contradictory to the current belief. And when you stop repeating the old belief, that neural pathway will weaken because there's nothing to support it. And this is how your beliefs actually start to change, not through affirmations, but by giving your brain new data to base itself on. So just like with shifting your identity, to shift your beliefs, you have to catch them when they show up. And I mean quite literally stopping everything you're doing. Take those 10 deep breaths to calm the vagus nerve. Affirm to yourself, you are good enough, you are smart enough, you are safe, you can do this, you've done hard things, you're an amazing person, you are loved. And the moment you challenge it, stop what you're doing, say something new about yourself, your brain will start to stop in its tracks and start firing down the new pathway. The second step is to give yourself the hard evidence it needs to prove the contradictory. So yes, this does mean getting outside your comfort zone and doing hard things. Going to the gym for even 10 minutes can prove that you are good enough to follow through, that you can make progress, that you can do it and stick to your word, which is so important coming into 2026. Because I know for a fact you don't want to be this time next year wishing and regretting everything, wishing that you could have done better, regretting the things that you did do because you know you could have done better. And the last step is just repeat it. Repetition and consistency are the biggest factors in changing how your brain and your body works to work with you, to create, to embody, to design your dream life and actually live that this time next year. Now, the third part that we're working on is your values. And your values might seem a little bit abstract, but they're the things that guide you through life. They are the intentional rules that your brain uses to decide what is most important to you, and it will always act from those values. So if you value taking it easy and resting all the time because that makes you feel great, you'll do it. But if you value making yourself uncomfortable, doing the hard stuff, and delaying gratification, you'll do it. Your brain will use your values to guide and dictate your behaviors, your actions, your priorities, your energy, your focus, your motivation. And you have the choice to choose where these go through. It's not life happening to you. You are the sum of all of your choices. I've recently come aware to this factor, and I see it in myself. And I think I could have done so much better at the start of the year with going to the gym. So now I am valuing and begging to go to the gym every single day. So yeah, look at yourself, your skills, the things around you, the money in your bank account, your fitness, your relationships, and sit there and ask, is this in any way where I want it to be? And if it's not, that's good that you recognize it, but you have the actual ability to change each and every one of those things. It is never life happening to you. Life happens from you. And this comes into the law of attraction, the law of vibration, which is a whole nother topic that I absolutely adore. But yeah, you are the sum of all of your choices. So choose what things you value. Choose the identity of yourself you want to hold. Choose the beliefs that stem from that, and changing them then creates your dream life. And this is absolutely everything we go into in this channel. From discipline to confidence to staying logged in, everything. And to change your values is the 4 steps again. Identify where your current values are lying, because knowing where you are now lets you see how close or how far away you are from the target. And next is to align a new value for 2026. Then you need to act in favor of this value in one way for each. This may be one boundary, one harder option, one new routine, one new follow through, and you need to repeat that until your brain starts prioritizing these values and you notice the old ones fade away. A famous quote that James Clear said is, "We do not fall to the level of our habits, but our systems." And our systems come from our standards, and our standards come from our level of identity. So if you want to change your habits that build your dream life, first you must change your identity. These are the roots you must uplift and chuck out in order for the weeds not to grow back again. So here's what all of this means for you. In 2026, you are not starting at scratch or at zero. You're starting 2 months ahead of everybody else in the game. And you will be starting 2026 unrecognizable because you've done the hard work. You've changed your identity, your beliefs, your values. And I can tell you, this doesn't take a year or 5 years to happen. It can happen in a matter of months if you are willing to do the hard work. If you want the things in 2026 bad enough, you will do this stuff. There is no other option. All of those other tips work if you've done this work. So today is where your 2025 version ends and your 2026 one begins. So if you are serious about 2026 and being unrecognizable, subscribe and follow me over on Instagram because I can give you a lot more in-depth help with everything you've been working towards. So welcome to the community of women dedicated to becoming the best versions of themselves. I'm your host, Amelia Grace, and I love you so much, and I will see you next week. Mwah!